Hey guys, what is up? Quackware here. Today we're going to be talking about references. As you probably watched the previous tutorial about pointers, it gave you a way to modify a variable that you pass into a function directly rather than passing in by value, which you may be familiar with before. This just lets you have a variable and be able to perform some sort of action on it and have that value returned to you without actually returning it from the function. So references are kind of similar to pointers. Instead of actually having a pointer to the object in memory, you actually reference the address directly. And it's actually much cleaner to modify variables with references rather than pointers because you don't have to deal with some of the weird syntax that pointers has. So let's go ahead and get started. I have the same function I had in the previous tutorial with the pass by value, and I'm just going to write a little bit of code here to show that, again, you can't actually modify the variable when you do pass by value. So let's just do after pass by value. Go ahead and compile that. Let's see, what did I do? Okay, so as you can see, pass by value prints out 0, and if we try and change it in this pass by value, because we actually copied the variable itself, we didn't actually reference it, we are unable to modify it. So that value doesn't change even though we set it to 100 here. So the way to actually specify pass by reference rather than pass by value is, instead of adding an ampersand like a pointer, adding a asterisk like a pointer, you have to add an ampersand, like so. So void f int ampersand reference. Now we can also do the same thing we did in the previous tutorial where we print out the address that this variable is, and you'll be able to see what we're passing is actually the address in the main function of the variable. So it actually makes sense that we're able to modify it because we're referencing the same area in memory. So let's go ahead and put these prints here. And let's modify it because we want to show that we can actually modify the variable. And let's just print this stuff again just to make sure we're not doing anything crazy. To ref. Okay, so this all looks good. We're passing in the reference, we're printing out its address and its value, then we're modifying its value, and then we're again printing out its address and value. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at main. Int foo equals 10, so we want to print out the address of foo, just to show that what we're passing in is the address and not the value. And we call this function. And notice in the previous tutorial, in order to actually pass in a pointer, you have to reference the address by using this ampersand. But with an when you pass by reference, you can just pass in the variable directly. Notice that both this pass by value and this f function have the same way that you pass in the variable. But you can just specify a reference here and the compiler understand, okay, I'm passing it by reference rather than by the value. That's why I explained earlier that it's much cleaner to pass by reference rather than pointer, because you might sometimes forget to put that ampersand before, and it just kind of looks cleaner in code. So let's add this last printout just to show the value. That is actually changed. And we have our git char here, so let's compile. Yes, stop debugging. Let's go ahead and run it. So here's our previous pass by values. You can see that nothing has actually changed. You can see the address in main here. So foo has an address of 3144 blah blah blah. And notice that when we actually pass into f and we print the address here, it's exactly the same. That means that we're actually referencing the same location in memory where this 10 is stored. So when we print out the value here, 10, and then print out the address, notice the address hasn't changed because we didn't modify it at all. And when we print it out again, we get 20, of course, and then in main we get 20, which shows that we were able to modify this variable in here. So pretty much the exact same thing you can do with pointers, just much cleaner. I personally prefer pass by reference other than pass by pointers, but some people prefer it the other way. And another interesting thing to look at, so if we see the address of val here, we can see that it actually changes. just to kind of reinforce the point of how these two functions are different. And let's go ahead and print bar here as well. Let's compile it and print it. See, this address in main is 108.126.96, and this address here is actually different. So that shows that we are actually making a copy of the variable and we're putting it in a new address, so we aren't actually able to modify it. So if you understood like the previous two tutorials, this one's, you know, a little bit simpler. It comes with hoping that you have understood the previous two ones, and hopefully you have a better idea about memory and how references and pointers are used. We'll probably go more in depth on some more uses of them in subsequent tutorials, but I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Make sure to watch the rest of the C++ tutorials in this playlist. This is Quackware signing out.